Axel. I'm picking up a distress signal.
Any signs of life?
Nothing.
Let's go in for a closer look.
The signals are coming from beyond these doors.
Whoa, what's that?
Looks like some sort of probe.
Careful, Axel. Signals are getting stronger. Axel, the doors!
This time, you'll be a perfect challenger for my game.
At first glance, Grid Runner looks like nothing more than another simple game from the era of Asteroids and Pac-Man. There is some truth to that, but Virgin's Grid Runner still managed to surprise us with its addictive quality. The game is not addictive because it's incredibly fun. Rather, the reason is just that you always think you can win. Every time you play, you get so close to beating the current world. But most of the time, the real winning factor is luck. Plain and simple. So what is this game about? Well, it's a glorified version of tag. After you make your opponent it, you have to pass by a certain number of flags and then turn them to your color, blue. The number of flags needed varies per level, but it is often 8 or 9. The game turns nuts on you when your opponent turns your flags to red, and when he tags you, so you have to tag him back before you can collect more flags. The action gets faster and faster. Your enemies get harder to corral. The grid levels become larger and larger. The learning curve is very smooth, and extremely persistent players, the ones that burn the midnight oil, yet have the sense to know when to rest their thumbs, will beat the game in a week. The entire game has 14 worlds with 3 levels each, plus World 15, the final battle with only 1 level, thank goodness. World 15 requires a whopping 30 flags. The enemy is the woman who trapped you in the opening sequence. When you beat World 14, she will appear in this single interstage scene.
You have failed me, Numian!
Cool. A password is given for each completed world. Otherwise, the game would be impossible to beat. Admittedly, the game is fun, but not worth buying. Good players will get too far too fast, and for $50, you need to have more than 1970s gameplay. It's difficult for us to say that because this is a good game. The game designers did a great job of adding variety to each world. One of the best worlds is Galacia, a slippery ice world which almost every video game seems to have. Other levels have different kinds of warps that jet you away from your enemy. I like that. Later in the game, though, your enemies are harder to tag, and the mazes become increasingly complex. Your character runs so fast that it's sometimes hard to turn corners, but this irritation is forgivable because speed is the key to success. Grid Runner lives up to the high standard of quality set by Virgin, but the challenge is not high enough despite the rigorous workout that you'll get. After you beat the first world, you'll get the idea and gradually make your way to the end. So instead of paying cash for the game, play a real-life version of it. Grid Runner makes for a wild party game. Speaking of wild, here's a spectacular ending to the game. You can thank us later.